Hi everyone, I'm Catriona Walkerden, the Global VP of Marketing at Logicalis, and I'm really excited to welcome you to our final session of the Logicalis CIO Summit. So, let's meet our panelists. From Microsoft, I'd like to welcome Tony Surma, Chief Architect and General Manager of Global Partner Solutions at Microsoft. From Cisco, I'd like to welcome Sanjit Ayyappa, who's a senior leader in sales and systems engineering in the global partner sales organization at Cisco. Thanks both for joining today, and let's dive straight into it, shall we?
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Sure. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Wonderful. So we've heard throughout the day the challenges and opportunities facing CIOs. How is Cisco evolving to help customers bridge the IT skills gap, for example?
There is a huge drive of digitization and modernization of the entire landscape, and it is very complex and requires a varied set of skills, but not just to implement, but to also run, manage, and operate the environment. The skill shortage is certainly resulting in customers reevaluating where they invest their resources and time. And this is where I believe managed services partners really help plug those competency gaps, right? And provide a consistent experience by really offloading the need for competency management out of the partner and really holding it in-house within the partner organization itself. But it's also important for vendors like us to work very closely to manage competency levels within the partners, because even the partners are facing very similar challenges on skill attrition. So while there are structured learning programs, which is going to be critical to ensure the partner's competency level stays at a maximum, I think vendors like us also require to provide our own services to augment the partner services and then help the customer in their journey to wherever they are onto. This is an industry-wide program and a problem, and we're all in it together to ensure that the best experience is provided to the end user.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Sanjeev. So what I'm hearing for us, advice for our CIOs is a mixture of skills, competency training with the partners, and managed services.
Yeah.
Really great perspective there. So just following on from that, how do you think emerging trends and technologies will change the role of the CIO in the coming years from Cisco and Microsoft's perspective? So Tony, I'll start this one with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, certainly we've seen an unpredictable and rapid amount of change in the last couple of years. We know there's sort of a new normal, but there's probably going to be a series of new normals and evolutions that come. It's very clear from our point of view that agility is absolutely going to be key. It's very clear that sort of harnessing and learning from the data is going to be key as you look at more and more digitization of more and more use cases. And then, as Sanjit said, I think the other thing is going to be a focus on how do you supplement your team, your staff, both distributed throughout the organization and the lines of business, and then also with managed service providers, outsourced capabilities, and automated things from, be it the cloud or others. So I think it's really across all of those. We know that agility is going to be key because we've seen huge changes in customer expectations for each of your businesses. And, for example, myself, I'm not going to want to go back to wandering around a retail store when I can just quickly ask for something and have it delivered to my car. So these expectations are here to stay. And so that agility is going to need to be there in order to leverage all the other things I just talked about to deliver on the changing needs that's going to come. And then on top of that, you have things around environmental sustainability concerns, social aspects, other things that are becoming more and more important and prevalent for companies. And the CIO is going to need to deliver on those, contribute to those goals, and make sure systems are enabling or supporting the digitization of those use cases as well.
100%. A lot to unpack there. ESG and sustainability are a huge topic, or huge topics for CIOs right now. How is Microsoft helping customers transform sustainably?
One of the major things that we're focused on is how do we take our experience and our learning, because again, certainly ESG has been at the heart of Microsoft, but then how do we take that both to our partners, as we just discussed there, and then also to the customers. And so that's everything from what you were just describing there, going from data centers to the cloud, but also inside of the cloud, not only working on our own efficiency and our own sustainability, again, both in the traditional sense around carbon, water, power, et cetera, but also around materials, around supply chain issues, resiliency that's needed to happen around staffing in other areas. And then taking that a step further and saying, how do we increase density? How do we increase the ability of your application to have a smaller and smaller footprint, whether it's through some of the software as a services or platform as a services capabilities above things like virtual machines, so that that sustainable cost of doing something with the benefit gets smaller and smaller for each of you in your application. So we really kind of focus in on how we can do that from an infrastructure and application point of view, but then also take things like our sustainability cloud and other products and share those back out so you can gather the data, not just from obvious sources like IoT and other applications, but across lines of business and operations, and be able to report back on that data and see where and how each of your projects are either driving positively or negatively a contribution to sustainability. So you can do it both at the obvious infrastructure layers, but then also in choices about processes, product engineering, some of the other things we just talked about.
So, question to both of you. Obviously, we talked about managed services before, and it's come up a fair bit during the CIO Summit over the last couple of hours. So, in your opinion, how have managed services as a consumption model helped businesses with digitization? And Sanjit, let's go to you first on that one.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Digitization is really disrupting businesses, right, in every industry. And Cisco has been working to put together all aspects of technology and solutions to strategically successfully navigate that journey to digital business. We provide technical foundations that integrates connectivity, security, automation, collaboration, and analytics across the entire the value chain. And we really look at the opportunity across three broad areas, right? How do you enhance the new customer experience? In a world of an always-on digital service, customer expectations are high. Providing a seamless omni-channel experience to each customer across every channel of interaction really strengthens the customer's loyalty. There's also disruption of business models. As more and more devices get connected, companies have the potential to collect data from pretty much all aspects of the value chain. And the result is a faster time to market, leaner operations, and the ability to respond to market changes quickly. And there's also about this huge discussion about empowering the workforce itself and how employees can be better equipped with tools to have them engage in their businesses better, providing rich collaboration, deeper engagement, and security. We see all these areas as a key areas of opportunity. And the most important part of this is how do you provide this in a managed construct? How do you offer this in a way that it's a light for the customers to consume in models and financial models that are a lot more easier on the books, and it helps business go ahead without investing very highly in the beginning itself and not making it a very expensive proposition and building the business and building the cost into that. And that's why the whole managed aspect of it, where the technology is provided by the partner in a manner that can be consumed easily by the customer, is going to be very critical.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so, Tony, you must have a unique perspective on this from a Microsoft standpoint. What's your thoughts here on managed services and how they can help businesses with digitization?
Yeah, first and foremost, plus one, 100% everything that Sanjit just said really sort of covers the way the market is leveraging these capabilities. I think we think of it as metaphorically, right? What the cloud has done for data centers, for equipment, for provisioning, et cetera, managed services has that capability to do it for processes and business models, right? And so the idea is exactly as we heard a moment ago, thinking about the agility, the scale, the distribution, both physical and logical, of individuals, facilities, data, devices, as well as the optimizations that need to come to CIOs. Everyone has to do the, quite literal more with less. And so we really think about it from how do we take services all the way from things that can be automated fully, to those managed services that might leverage AI and other things to make connections around security access and other stuff that would never be done by a set of humans. So that way it can augment those humans in a managed service. And then ultimately that managed service in our partner resources with the competencies that we talked about. Once you take that spectrum and you look across your business, particularly in IT, there are so many areas where you realize you can reduce the cost, remove a need to have and grow a very large staff to scale with the agility and the speed that you need to execute your business, and then focus those folks back on the core of your business. A CIO obviously needs to drive IT and then all of the goals of the company that they lead. And so they need to make sure that we're focusing those resources, not necessarily on that which could be done by others, potentially with certain scale and cost benefits, but that which really uniquely needs to be done for the business. And that's the angle we take, is how do we remove that? How do we use the metaphor benefits of the cloud to really scale that down, even though they're scaling up and out across time and space?
So fast forward 20, 30 years, 10 years, can you see a world where everything is managed service and everything is just consumed like we've kind of done with music?
It's an interesting question, right? I think the last 2 years have taught us that none of us can predict the future with specificity, of course. But I think if you look at some of the world of startups, not just in IT and software, but the world of startups and smaller companies and other areas, that is what we're seeing. Maybe not everything, but there's a large amount that can be leveraged. So you can see smaller individual companies that are starting with a low number of resources and able to use managed services, not just for IT, but even for things like HR and other aspects of the business. We're seeing also that low code, no code way of enabling the workforce at large being an aspect that marries with managed services to achieve that, so that you can take those managed services and then have people who are in the line of business, like Sanjit said earlier, and enable them to stitch together the right things that are needed for the business. So I think there's absolutely a future for that. It's never going to fully replace the core people at your company delivering your business, but it's going to give them sort of a superhuman scale beyond what they themselves can do, or maybe what they themselves know or have the experiences of.
Another question for you. Where do technology leaders such as yourself, Cisco and Microsoft, see the next wave of digital use cases requiring investment from the CIO?
Now, looking across industries and other industries and use cases, the next wave of digital transformation will be enabled by a series of things, is what we believe. Firstly is going to be around advanced infrastructure that provides more telemetry, more insights back to the customer, so that they can take more informed choices about what's going to be implemented, and then combine that with a very strong security posture, because cybersecurity is going to be top of mind for anybody on any kind of transformation that you're going to build into a customer's environment. There's also these discussions around convergence of IT and OT, completely built around data and critical insights, because we have about 20 billion devices now connected to the internet. And in 3 years, we're looking at that moving up by about 29 billion, which is a huge change. So the convergence of our IT and OT and getting the relevant data from the edge is going to be extremely critical. And then the journey to multi-cloud would continue, but it's going to be heavily focused on FinOps, which is going to be a key area of focus as to how we're going to increase the adoption of technology and cloud, but at the same time ensure that we have a cost optimization, which is really the center of all these projects. AI, especially where ML and humans work together, is going to be a huge area of investments going forward. Private 5G and Wi-Fi 6 is going to really, really disrupt the industry, specifically with the kind of connectivity and capabilities it is promised to offer. So that's going to be something to look out for. And as we've been speaking all this time, sustainability and wellness of the planet, while we do all of these great things with our customers, is going to be at the heart of it.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Sanjit. So interested to go a little bit deeper on private 5G and Wi-Fi 6. So what type of kind of futuristic use cases do you think that will enable?
Yeah, if you look at the kind of connectivity today, we look at the speed, the availability of bandwidth that we see in our enterprises, which is heavily driven by how wireless is. But for anything, be it for autonomous cars, be it for the digitization of the entire medical sector. If you look at robotics-based surgeries, it's about this. It's just not about the speed, but it's about the latency. That's where private 5G plays a massive role, and that's why everybody's waiting for it. It also provides that umbrella of connectivity across cities. It also provides an umbrella of connectivity within small communities and sectors, and you can offer this whole thing as a service back to the consumer, and you're just not constrained to just voice and certain amounts of streaming data, but its practical applications now finally moving into the SP space.
That's fascinating. Yeah, it just opens up a whole world of possibilities, which I'm really excited to explore, as we see it roll out over the next couple of years. Tony, what are your thoughts on how Microsoft sees the next wave of digital use cases that the CIO is going to be considering right in the next 12, 36 months?
Yeah, first off, I have to think Sanjit did an amazing job there, so everyone should go back, listen to that, take notes. But on top of that, I think I would just hit on a few trends that sort of top line around that. One is we talk and think a lot about hybrid workplace now, right? In terms of employees working from home, other locations. You asked about that in the future question. The real trend, and certainly this started well before the pandemic and real estate aspects and other things, is just not just think about hybrid workplace for your employees, but picking up on what Sanjit said, think about hybrid workplace for your customers, for your business partners. I just had a personal experience. We don't think of the hospital or the doctor's office as just that physical building anymore. There's telehealth appointments. So my house is also a waiting room and a potentially, a lightweight exam room. We have devices on someone right now in our house that has to be monitored. Instead of having to sit at a hospital, you can do that from home. So take all of those trends and what he talked about there and think about how do you think about a hybrid marketplace, a hybrid commerce environment with your business partners and with your customers that doesn't have physical boundaries. And that brings in everything he talked about around 5G and Wi-Fi, around cybersecurity, around the data that's going to be gathered there, around the governance, around how we're going to be able to leverage that to help with sustainability goals, right? So that expanded workforce and that expanded workplace and that expanded marketplace is one big area. And then just the last area underpinning all of that, and again, Sanjit said that, is data. And then the automation, the AI, and that machine-to-machine communication or human-to-machine that enables so many scenarios, not just around customer service, but insights, driving your business, making CIO's office basically be the office of the future for the company, being able to predict where you are and where you need to go, and just drive such insight and value that you can change the course of where your business is going to go. I think that's the opportunity as we digitize all these use cases. There's just so much information there that's going to drive that speed of decision that has to happen in the future.
That is incredible. I'm so excited to see how, the benefits that roll out to society and, our own customers. Really great perspectives there, Sajid and Tony. Really appreciate your time here today. On behalf of Logicalis and all our guests, thank you so much for sharing your unique insights into what the world will look like for the Digital First CIO. Now I'll pass back to Bob to close out what has been a fantastic event. Bob, back to you.